Each week, we deliver great insight on senior living, and that includes assisted living, independent living, any type of setting for seniors. So I'm your host, Stella, with your co-host, Pedro and Lana. Good afternoon.
Good
Good
afternoon.
afternoon, everyone. So today we're going to talk about looking at how to particularly purchase a business in senior living. So there's three ways to buy residential assisted living facility. We actually had a phone call come in from a commercial agent the other day, and he did have a buyer that was particularly interested in potentially, buying into an assisted living, or how could he do it? He was just very confused by the whole process. So what we want to do is, break it down a little bit. So as an agent, you have your residential communities that are out there. So first of all, we can actually look at the assisted living facility model, and you may have people that want to only buy the business aspect of it. Then you're going to have your investors that maybe they want to be silent. They only want to buy the building, quote, the real estate. Or you may have a person that wants to be the owner operator, and they want to buy everything. So they want to buy the business, they want to own the real estate, so they want to purchase all three together. So with that commercials agent's question, it was very, very important for everyone to understand there is multiple options and choices out there. You just don't have to go with one. It depends on where you're coming from. So just an example, as an operator, maybe you want to come in and buy that existing business. Okay, so now someone has created this business model. They've been in the business for 5 years, and they're going to be moving. So they particularly only want to sell the business aspect. So then we're going to be looking on, okay, what's that business worth? What is the value in that business for you to come in and actually purchase the business itself? Secondly, do they have the funds to actually buy the business and the real estate? Maybe they don't. So that's why they're only interested in running the business. Obviously, if you come in and you buy all three, then the price is going to be higher, because not only are you buying an existing business, but now you're also buying the real estate, which is included. So there's three different aspects to actually do that. So it's a very good question, because it can get a little bit confusing.
And you're right, Lena, as realtors as well. We actually getting a lot of calls, and I have two current. We have like assisted living on listed as well, so we have to go through all those scenarios. And like currently, I have actually a person, a family interested in buying, as you said, one of the assisted facility that has been there for 12 years. The owner is tired and she's ready to move on something else. She just have enough time. So right now they don't know the business at all, and they're asking me a question about how it works on the real estate side and the operation side. Something I realized, and I was talking to Pedro about it this week, is that they need to be educated, because if you don't know how the business works, then it's just not going to make sense like that to you. So what I did tell them is, for any question about assisted living facilities, I asked Pedro, can you do the consulting for them on that? Because they will need to know how that operates. And we have a podcast where we talked about all the costs about operations. But that is something that I really want to stress, that point. If you really want to buy an assisted living facility and buy the business, and not just the real estate, as Lana was saying, you need to know what you're doing, because you're going to take care of seniors. It's very important. It's not just the money, it's knowing how. And Pedro and Lana do give consulting about how to create operations and how to make them successful. So the first thing, yes, we can give you advice, but the first thing I would say, if you really want to get into the business, just get educated by people who have the experience. I just can't stress that a lot. I'm going through that, and I'm like, guys, you cannot just reinvent the wheel. Get help.
Yes, that's so correct, because it's the commercial agent. He had so many questions. I mean, he said it gets a little bit confusing, but you really have to sit down and look at what type of investment do you want. Are you going to be hands on? Or are you just are you just looking for the real estate business, and then trying to figure out what is the business worth? Is the business, if they're going to sell it for X, Y, and Z, is that truly what the business is worth? So there's different aspects that you have to look at. There's different scenarios, and it's really setting down, like Stella said, and having a one-on-one consultation. That way we can go through what are your wants, what is your budget that you're working with, and what is it that you're actually looking for. But a lot of it is an educational process, because a lot of people don't understand the business, but they're eager to potentially invest in it. So it's a great business, but there's different ways that you can invest. And so that was such a good question that he had, and trying to break it down and explain the process is, like I said, it can be a little bit confusing, but that's why we're here for you. So we hope that, you definitely give us a call, so that we can, schedule an appointment with you and go over that.
Now, about real estate, there's two ways to go about it if you just want to be involved in the real estate side. That's one way that we talked about in the previous podcast. If you're an operator, like Pedro, you can go and lease a facility that's already there, not a facility, but a house. And Pedro, right after I finish, I would like you to explain a little bit how that works. Or you can only look for a great location and find a house that you want to buy, and find an operator that's going to operate in the house. So if you're only looking at getting that side of the business, now you need to talk to a realtor. And we are realtors as well. We can help you understand what makes a location great, and what is going to help your seniors. How is it going to be accessible and visible? All those you want to understand, but it's not going to take a 10-minute podcast to explain that to you. It's going to take more in-depth conversation to get there. And I'm going to let you go into the leasing part, Pedro.
Well, on a leasing part, when we come together with a marriage, the operator is going to do a survey of the building, the house, just to see, if it meets the needs, location, physical plant. Those are things that are quite important. Once that occurs, it's really the operator setting out some guidelines on what, because if they're in the business, they already know what they're looking for. So there's some guidelines that they're going to put out, and then they're going to really just get into what realtors and operators do, and that's negotiate, and it can be as simple as who cuts the grass. So it's important. It's important that this is done correctly. That's what's going to give you a successful long-term lease. Definitely, you may want to bring a lawyer in, because you're going to want to make sure that documentation. But I can say that when it comes to for the leasing part, but at the end of the day, everything is going to be on paper. You're going to want to have everything on paper, and you'll have the operators portion. You'll have the investors portion. You come together with this marriage, it's going to be fabulous.
I like the way you said that. And then you have actually a marriage between you and your family. Can you explain a little bit that third part, which when you have the business and the real estate together?
Correct. So not only am I the operator, I'm also the investor, but I also have silent investors. So my silent investors, which are family, they only have invested in the real estate. So the real estate is separate from my actual assisted living facility. So that's why there is multiple ways to do this. You come, like you said, you can come in, someone's interested in only having the real estate aspect of it, so then they can, potentially lease it to these business. Or you may have, let's just take example for a nurse or a doctor or a physical therapist that is interested in starting their own business and looking at these businesses that are already existing. As I stated before, if I was to do a second one, I would buy an existing business, because there's a lot of money that goes into creating that business. So when you look at solely buying the business, and you look at that business that's been there 3+ years, that's successful, then that's also another way to go in and do that, because maybe you don't have the funds to buy the real estate the business and everything in its entirety, because then that can be expensive as well. So there's, like we're stating, there's multiple ways to break it down. And I've done all aspects of it, but in the future, if I was to do something else, I'd probably just go in and buy an existing business, potentially not the real estate, because it would be a less expensive. But once again, you do have people that are looking for multiple options, and we have those options available.
Yeah, options, and as well can help people to understand whether the business they're buying is suitable, because it's not because it's already operated and is established that is profitable. And that is where, and that it works well. So you definitely want to do your due diligence and ask your experts. I can't stress that enough. Don't go blind. Just ask. You have Pedro, you have Lana, you have myself. I would say just do your due diligence and ask questions. That's the best thing you could do.
And with that being said, if you have any questions, you can call us at you can call us at 407-794-7277. If you have questions, please email us at hello@easierlivingforyou.com. You can find all our previous podcasts on www.easierlivingforyou. Please, take a look at some of those. They're going to be very interesting. They're going to answer a lot of questions, and know that we're here for you if you have questions, okay?
And don't forget, we're on YouTube as well. So please send us your likes and subscribe, because we have a YouTube channel. So join us again next week at 12:45 on Golden Chat. And look forward to hearing from you with any questions. And hopefully we'll hear from you soon. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day, you guys.
Great.
Thank you. See you next week.
Bye.